I'd like to introduce Mr. P.R.Murry. I'm going to take over the camera in a moment. P.R.Murry, as well as being a fine poet, is an artist of some renown. He recently exhibited at the Free Painters Show in Clerkenwell. There are some very fine pieces there. He can tell you all about this later on at great length. So I'll go and operate the camera.
Right, what I'm going to tell you about at great length in the first set I'm going to do are several things that have failed to kill me yet, including my trousers. So the first one is called Stories About Bombs. Stories about bombs have punctuated my life. I was born when the welfare state was also a baby. I heard about my dad firewatching on the roof of an art school in Blitz, London, and composing an oil painting whilst he was up there. I heard about the shrapnel still embedded in an art's leg, and every so often a radio announcer might report unexploded ordnance found on a building site. One day, Cuba was in the news. Nikita Khrushchev banged his shoe on a desk at the UN, and that was the first time I saw my father scared. Made to be a schoolboy cadet, the worst bomb I heard was a thunder flash, just oversized fireworks thrown about by boys in pretend wars, whilst half a world away, youths threw real grenades at each other in Vietnam. But London learned the hard way that old wounds don't always heal, as propaganda of the deed reminded us of an unjustly held colony kept down by British Army boots across a narrow sea. A bandstand blew up. A cast iron waste bin disintegrated in a high street, killing a child. Sudden night blasts outside Territorial Army barracks, and then after a general election I heard a massive dull thud roll up from the Thames Valley to my suburban hilltop as a debt was repaid in the city. Not content with that, the Fenians blew me out of bed, where I lay drunk trying to forget the start of 4 more Tory years, as 3/4 of a mile away a 4-lane flyover was lifted off its foundations by an exploding van. A truce came to London until jihad began. Old wounds don't always heal. Crusades and colonialism festered, and oil was not a balm for those treacherous treaties, Sykes-Picot and Balfour, and all the other dodgy dealing, spooking and conniving to keep our motors running. But the truth could be that it doesn't worry me more than the chance of dying in a traffic accident. Stupidity seems to breed stupidity. Recently, the world's most stupid man addressed the UN to threaten a nation with total destruction. I wish, because it's all I can do, that he'd taken off his shoe like Nikita Khrushchev did, but then beat himself over his own dyed blonde head. Okay, the next thing that didn't quite kill me was heart palpitations. And this is about heart palpitations, and I hope none of you ever have them. They're most unpleasant.
Yes. How about it?
I almost kicked the bucket in a well-known high street mini supermarket on an unpleasant rainy evening. I thought I really was about to pop my clogs. There was a poster of a woman there with a well-groomed golden Labrador. She and the dog smiled because they were allegedly content with some product or other. She and the dog smiled as my heart seemed to be surging up into my mouth. She and the dog smiled, produce some about before my eyes. I gripped the edge of a shelf like a limpet in an Atlantic gale. I thought, this cannot be. I am too important to myself. It is not an appropriate place for the end of me. This was not a good day to die. So I fought back against nausea and panic. I don't feel well, I croaked to the manager. He bought me a plastic chair and I sat on it, sweating and panting and gasping in the air-conditioned air, staring at a tsunami of shoppers surging off fetid buses and tubes, eager to buy dried pasta, tinned tomatoes, cheap booze and whatever stuff was described as food on the packaging. I watched this sharp-elbowed scramble as my heart slowed down. This was not a good day to die, even if poets are traditionally supposed to suffer from consumption. So, more things that haven't killed me yet. This is something that nearly killed me when I was a baby, and is also having a go right now. Once a river ran like a cord of grey churning muscle through a valley and a city, current rolling, pulsing and twisting muddy waters to the sea and back again at the same time, running with and against the tide. Like the city, it never ceased. On cold winter nights it sweated mist, but if the night was still and cloudy, the mist could not rise. Every house in the city burnt a coal fire. Nearly every adult who lived there smoked. And then there was a time when all the cars and buses and lorries smoked too. Smog was born, and the mist and smog embraced each other and reclined like satisfied lovers in a sleeping yellow embrace above the city, smothering breath and life in a poisonous blanket. So every still night when the smog laid down, hundreds died beneath. Give us clean air, the people cried. Stop the coal fires and the car exhaust. Stop smoking. Cut carbon monoxide. And then the old smog, made illegal, died. And fewer people did, but death was just resting for a decade or two. Then it smiled and said, I'll find a way to return and choke the life from your lungs and heads. I'll make a finer blanket now than the smog of old, and when the sun is bright and the air is still, I'll weave a cloth of car fumes and light and lay it over the city, so that they'll gasp for breath and cough in vain again and again, just like they did when my smog was thick. My clear killing veil will hang invisible above the city, and they'll still die for me as the river bowls on and on, leaving the poisoned people behind. Okay, this hasn't killed me yet, but it annoys me enough to give me heart palpitations sometimes. The people who wish to make you buy are scabless, clean and smiling, without discharges, problems or pimples. They sell you frozen slices from their nice lives. They do things for their nice husbands. They provide things for their nice wives, and by some unseen process reproduce perfect model children who smilingly consume bowls of cereal and sometimes have plasters caringly stuck on them. The parents travel every evening on deserted roads in new cars across the high Sierra to dinner parties where character actors recommend brands of sherry to them. They can go on holiday whenever they want. They use soft toilet paper, but they never shit. And the worst thing that can ever happen to them is a headache, which pills instantly cure. I wish my life could be like theirs, but no matter how many things I buy, I've still got discharges, problems, pimples, and an egg stain on my shirt. And I always keep falling over whenever I try to run down a beach in slow motion. The things I buy get tarnished by my life. Perhaps it's because I pay for them. The people in the adverts never do. And lastly, as promised, the trousers that failed to kill me. Okay, there they are. Well, they're on my legs actually, but the poem about them is just on the next page, I hope. Yes, here we are. I want telepathic and telekinetic trousers now. I want truths that can think. I want strides that don't shrink away from the intellectual effort of obeying my unspoken commands that climb up my legs smoothly and coolly without a word from my mouth or a tug from my hands. I want leg wear that's always there when I want it and never there when I don't. As a youth, I never thought of trousers in terms of on and off. But age and arthritis have changed the nature of the leg-cladding game. Getting dressed and undressed is now a ruthless 15-round wrestling match as I curse and swear and sometimes tear at those obstinate tubes of cloth. My feet get stuck inside them. My knees go crickety crack as I clutch the wall, and I almost fall like a tortoise onto my back. But tortoises don't wear trousers. They have more sense than aged old apes. They go around nude, as perhaps I should, or wear a skirt or a kilt or a cape, instead of fighting my trousers in a daily attritional war, which I can't win, and neither can they, till we both exist no more. I'll be cremated in my trousers. Together, flesh, bone and cloth will burn until my trousers and I can both rest in peace in a tasteful funerary urn. Thank you.